So there's a storm brewing over one of the internet's most famous cryptocurrencies. We are talking about a massive, high-stakes showdown that could push a multi-billion-dollar network to its absolute limit. And believe it or not, it all kicked off with a public vote.
And look, it's a pretty wild question to even ask, right? Could Dogecoin, the coin that literally started as a joke and blew up into this global phenomenon, actually be vulnerable to a hostile takeover of its own network?
Well, get this. This isn't just some hypothetical what-if. The threat is very real. A project called Qubic, which is packing some serious computing power, has officially put Dogecoin in its crosshairs, all because its community voted to do it.
So you gotta wonder, how does a $35 billion network suddenly get a giant target painted on its back? Yeah, this was not random. It was a deliberate choice, made right out in the open, and the story behind it is pretty fascinating. When Qubic asked its community, hey, who should we stress test next? Wow, the answer was just overwhelming. I mean, it wasn't even close. The fact that they picked Dogecoin over other huge networks like Zcash and Kaspa, that shows some really clear, focused intent. They didn't just pick a target, they were sending a message. Okay, so to really get just how serious this is, we have to look at Qubic's track record. Because these guys aren't just talking a big game, they have done this before. And what happened served as a massive warning shot to the entire industry.
So just days before this whole Dogecoin thing, Qubic focused its power on the privacy coin Monero. First, their mining pool grew so big it gained majority control. Then, they proved they had that control by actually rewriting a piece of Monero's transaction history. And the fallout was instant. Kraken, a huge exchange, got so worried about the network's integrity that it completely shut down all Monero deposits.
6. Now, that might not sound like a huge number, but in the world of crypto, believe me, that's an earthquake. 6 blocks of what was supposed to be a permanent, unchangeable record were just erased and rewritten. Qubic proved they could change the unchangeable, and that little display of power put everyone on high alert.
So what is this powerful weapon that Qubic is using? It's something known as a 51% attack, and it's basically one of the oldest and most feared nightmares in the world of proof-of-work crypto.
To put it really simply, a 51% attack is what happens when one group gets control of more than half of a network's total computing power, its hash rate. You know, think of it like this. If you suddenly owned over 50% of the voting shares in a company, you'd be the one calling all the shots. You control the rulebook.
But let's be super clear about what that control actually lets you do. An attacker can start blocking new transactions. They can stop other miners from doing their job. And here's the big one. They can reverse their own recent transactions. That's how you get double spending the same coins more than once. But what they can't do is steal your private keys or just invent new coins out of nothing. The network's core rules are safe, but its recent history is definitely not.
Okay, but here's where the story gets really complicated. Qubic claims they aren't bad guys. They're trying to frame this as a stress test. They say their goal is to show off weaknesses and prove how resilient their own system is, not to actually bring down Dogecoin. But that is a very, very fine line to be walking.
So no matter what they say their intentions are, what could actually happen here? What are the real risks for Dogecoin, for its massive community, and for pretty much anyone who holds the coin? To understand what's at stake, you really only need to look at this one number, $35 billion. This is not some tiny, obscure coin we're talking about. It's a huge ecosystem with real value held by millions of people. All of that is on the line. A successful attack could kick off this absolutely catastrophic chain reaction. First, trust just evaporates. People panic. Investors, users, they lose all faith in the network's security. Then, the exchanges move to protect themselves, just like Kraken did, and they halt trading. And just like that, liquidity dries up. The lifeblood of the coin is cut off, and the whole ecosystem could grind to a halt.
So what happens here is about way more than just Dogecoin. This whole confrontation is forcing the entire crypto world to face a really uncomfortable question about what security and decentralization are actually supposed to mean.
Now, Dogecoin isn't just going to sit there and take it. It has a few tricks up its sleeve. The developers could actually change the code to fight back. It also has this huge advantage called merge mining with Litecoin, which gives it an extra layer of security. The community could rally miners to boost the network's power, and you can bet exchanges are already making backup plans.
So this brings us to the core of the whole debate. On one side, you have people, including Qubic, saying this is a necessary evil.
a stress test to find the cracks so we can fix them and make everything stronger. But on the other side, critics are calling this a reckless, hostile attack that destroys trust and puts real people's money and the entire ecosystem at risk.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? As these powerful groups keep flexing their muscles, are they really just ethical hackers pushing the industry to be better? Or are they setting a terrifying new precedent that could break the very system they claim to be a part of? The outcome of this Dogecoin standoff might just give us the answer.